Hello to you, wherever you're joining from in the world today. All of us here at the TEFL Academy would like to welcome you to our second International TEFL Day. My name is Luan, and I'll be your host for today's event. I have had the pleasure of working in the TEFL industry for nearly 20 years as a teacher, a trainer, a tutor, and of course, academic content creator. I have loved almost every minute of it, but I'm not alone today. Hello, Mairead.
Hello, Luan. Oh, we are so excited to be here and to spend this wonderful Saturday with you all. My name is Mairead. It rhymes with parade. It's one of those tricky Irish names. And I am a TEFL teacher and teacher trainer from the west of Ireland. Over the last 20 years, TEFL has taken me all around the world and has given me the most wonderful experiences. So hopefully today, with Luan's and my over 40 years experience combined, oof, way to feel old, Luan, huh? We can shed a lot of light on all things TEFL.
Yeah, we are so glad to be here today and even happier to share the space with all of you. So, International TEFL Day is all about coming together as educators, sharing experiences, learning from one another, and also recognizing how much we grow through the work we do. It's a chance really to reflect on our journeys, just to support each other and to celebrate the community that makes TEFL so rewarding. However, before we get started, Mairead, I do believe there are a few house rules to go over, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, just like in the classroom, we've got to lay down our ground rules, right? Before we start. So, to ensure that everything runs as smoothly as possible, here are a couple of reminders before we get into our panel discussion. Our speakers will start promptly to make sure we get through our jam-packed schedule. The host of each session will let you in at the allocated time. Our speakers will also end their sessions on time so as not to delay the next sessions. You can ask questions, please do, during the sessions using the Q&A function. The speaker will be able to see your questions and answer them for you. If there isn't time for the speaker to address your question, or if you'd like to chat more with the speaker, you can visit them afterwards in their booth. Also, it's not all work, right? We also have some time for leisure. Don't forget about the social lounges where you can join a table and get to know your fellow attendees. Each table has an assigned topic, so choose a table which suits you, but feel free to move away from the given topic if you wish. Okay, the social lounges are just giving you the opportunity to connect with your fellow TEFL teachers. Throughout the day, 2 sessions will run concurrently. Have a look at the schedule to choose which sessions suit you the most. The great news is you can attend as many sessions as you'd like. Finally, we will have a 30-minute break at 2 p.m. GMT. This would be a good time for you to check out the booths or visit the aforementioned social lounges. So, Luan, no more rules. Let's get going. It's back to you for a special word about our charity partners, UWS.
Yeah, so I've got the great opportunity just to get our day started in the most rewarding way possible, right? So, for this conference, we are partnering with United World Schools, UWS, which is an organization that really aligns to our ethos as an education provider. So, UWS works in some of the world's most disadvantaged regions to provide free primary education to children. They collaborate with communities that are determined to break out of the poverty cycle. So the TEFL Academy is really proud to have partnered with UWS once again to build a school in Kanpur, Nepal. So this is just one of the amazing ventures that UWS runs. So together we have built and continue to maintain a school which currently provides employment and training to 15 teachers and also free education to over 117 students. And I have to say that over 40% of these students are girls. That is amazing news, right? And even though today's event is free to attend, It always is. We'd really appreciate your support in helping UWS continue this amazing work that they do. And if you're able, please consider donating whatever amount feels comfortable for you. Every contribution truly makes a difference. The donation link will be up on the screen. You'll be able to see how you can make a difference in the lives of these amazing children. So, yeah, that's just a little bit about our partner and what today is all about, sharing the gift of education. Right, Mairead?
Oh, what a worthwhile organization. It really is a privilege to be partnered with them. So, everybody, the aim of today is simple. We want to spread the word about TEFL, keep up to date with all of the latest trends in English language teaching, and have all of your burning questions answered by our expert speakers. So, without further ado, let's get down to business.
Right, so I have the pleasure of introducing our first panelist. I would like to introduce you to Lucas Vigna, who began his TEFL journey at just 18 years old in his hometown in Argentina. And his passion for teaching has taken him across several countries in South America, and he's now based in Bogota, Colombia, where he teaches at an international school. Lucas, we are delighted to have you with us. Welcome.
Hey guys, and thank you everyone who's watching. I'm excited to be here.
Mm-hmm. And I have the great pleasure of introducing Tomoko. Tomoko was born and raised in Toronto, Canada. She moved to Japan for 2 years to teach English to learners aged all the way from 2 years old to 80 years old. And she loved TEFL so much that she then decided to move to Vietnam and then on to China. During this time, she progressed to become a senior teacher, a teacher trainer, and then a recruitment manager. So Tomoko worked as a TEFL recruiter in the UK before founding her own business, TTR, which has now been running since 2015. And TTR recruits hundreds of teachers for Taiwan, China, Saudi Arabia, and currently Japan. So Tomoko, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, everyone. Thank you.
So, our topic for this panel is TEFL, a world of possibilities. So, let's find out from our panelists, Lucas and Tomoko, how TEFL has truly changed their lives. And also, we know the lives of the people they teach, right? So, I'm going to get straight into that first question. And Lucas, I'm going to direct this question at you first, right? What attracted you to the world of TEFL?
Wow, that's such a good question, Luan. And yeah, as you mentioned, it's a world of possibilities. I wanted something in the linguistic branch, but as we mentioned, we tend to think of English mainly about English speaking countries such as the UK or the US or maybe South Africa. But what we don't realize is that what we're getting into when we teach English is pretty much the history of the whole world. It's a lingua franca and it's a global collection between people of all ages, backgrounds, and nationalities. So I feel like English has that unique feature, and that is what first attracted me. Like my interest definitely sparked based on that. And yeah, the possibilities are endless. You get to work with diverse cultural settings, with people from all backgrounds and ages. And also, I feel develop a global perspective by traveling worldwide. So I feel like that is the main feature, like the global and international mindedness that you get via English. It's like it's a medium.
Yeah, thank you. And Tomoko, what about
Yeah.
you?
I think it's a blend of teaching and traveling that I absolutely love, the combination of both things. And also living and working abroad in foreign countries, like a unique experience. It's very unique, it's challenging, and so much growth happens when you're abroad. So I think the combination of both things. And also, the world is your oyster. You can literally go anywhere in the world to teach. And that's the beauty of TEFL. You can go anywhere and teach English and make a difference. That's what really drew me to TEFL in the first place. Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, Mairead, so 40 years of experience between the two of us. So I'm going to ask you to go way back, right? What attracted you to the world of TEFL?
Oh my gosh, let's cast our minds back. Well, Luan, I fell into TEFL completely by accident. It's like the best, happiest accident I've ever had in my life. I studied languages at university. And, I really wanted to go somewhere that would allow me to practice those languages.
Mm.
And yeah, I had two options for my degree. I could do software localization or I could do TEFL. I didn't really know what TEFL was, but I knew I didn't want to do software localization. So yeah, here we are. It was such a happy, happy accident.
Nice.
And I have another question for you, Tomoko.
Yes.
How did you actually get started in the TEFL industry?
So I'm Canadian Japanese. I grew up in Toronto, and then I had family in Japan as well. So I decided to sort of see my family in Japan and move there just for 1 year. But ended up being 17 years down the TEFL industry. So it's sort of an accident, I guess, as well for me, just sort of a gap here that turned into a full-blown career. So it's a good accident as well, and sort of what I do now every single day.
Amazing. And what about you, Lucas? How did you actually get started?
Well, as I mentioned before, I always wanted to be a teacher. I feel like, yeah, the connection that you build with students and stuff is something magical in a sense. And teaching is, at the end of the day, the most social thing that you can do. And I go tend to go in that direction, like social things. Yeah, first thing I did was to get my TEFL certificate. And then I said, well, I need experience. So I did a volunteering program. And that's how I got started, like volunteering and then listening to other TEFL teachers and getting more experience. But yeah, the key element was to have that willingness to do it and to have that attitude, which is essential, especially if you're just starting, just like I was a couple of years ago.
Oh, for sure. Attitude is key. You've got to want to make it happen. Luan, what about you? Tell us, how did you get started in the industry?
Yeah, so I am by trade a language practitioner, and that is what I was doing. I was working with language every day, editing, proofreading, translating, but it was such lonely work. And a friend of mine said to me, "Hey, why don't you teach English?" And I said to her, "You know what? I've just studied for 4 years to be a language practitioner. What do you mean, study again to be a teacher?" And she said, "Well, get your TEFL, short term investment, relatively inexpensive, and you'll be teaching in no time." And that's it. That's how it all happened for me. My very first lesson was an online lesson. Then they became face to face lessons. Then they were not in my country anymore. Then they were back in my country. So, yeah, it's been a ride. But that is how I got started, Murray. Thanks for the question.
Amazing.
Right. So, I have another question, and I'm going to ask Lucas, I want you to go back a little bit and talk us through the process of obtaining your TEFL qualification. What was it like? How did you find the process of obtaining this important qualification?
Wow, that's actually a very good question. I think I found it stimulating, but quite challenging at the same time. I mean, it's not everything that shines is glitter. Of course, it's going to be hard, and
Mm.
especially since it's asynchronous, so you have to have that discipline and do it for yourself. No one is going to be there teaching you and being like, "Yeah, absolutely, you need to get this done." You just have to do it by yourself. So lots of discipline. Uh, but at the same time, it was extremely rewarding and enriching because I got to connect with people from South Africa, people from the UK, and examinators from all over the world, and also TEFL students. So to see that I was not alone, even though I felt like, no, I'm just looking at a screen and it's asynchronous and it's online. So at first, I didn't think it was possible to connect with all these people, but then I did, and I felt like being part of such a global community. And now I'm looking at all the people who are watching us, and yeah, I get that feeling. Absolutely, it's a community. So yeah, it
Yeah,
was challenging but stimulating at the same time. That's how I describe it.
yeah. Tomoko, what about you? How did you find the process of obtaining your TEFL qualification?
It was 15 years ago. I'm not as young as I look, so it's quite a long time ago. But it was pretty full on. It's quite hard at first. I had no experience teaching whatsoever, so it was a bit daunting to sort of get into it. But I learned about TEFL techniques, lesson planning, classroom management. I actually taught as well for 20 hours in class, like to real ESL students. So really blend of different things. I'm really glad I did it. But it's definitely hard, but definitely worth doing a TEFL course before you go out there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Tomoko, did you have any country in mind when you decided that you wanted to be an EFL teacher? Or did you just go with the flow and see where the world took you?
Well, I'm Japanese, so my first choice was definitely Japan first. And I was there for 2 years to Japan, and I loved it so much. I moved to Vietnam for a year and then China for 2.5 years. But definitely Japan was in my heart first. I'm so glad I took that leap. Absolutely.
Oh, and was it everything you hoped it would be?
It was better. Everything was amazing. The food, the people, the students, everything. Yeah. No regrets. Mhm.
Oh, we love that. That's great. And Lucas, did you have anywhere in mind that you specifically wanted to go?
In all honesty, to be 100% honest, I just went with the flow. And my purpose was just to broaden my horizons, step out of my comfort zone. And I feel like doing the international experience firsthand, like the first thing that I did was to get international experience first. I feel like I fulfilled that. I completed that purpose of mine. And yeah, I knew for a fact that I wanted it to be Latin America because it's my first language, Spanish. So I know for a fact that I wanted to get that experience first. But yeah, also something that people tend to think is that Latin America, we're all kind of like similar, speaking like all Spanish and stuff, but we're extremely different. If there's anyone who's watching who's from Latin America or who knows the different countries of Latin America, we're extremely different from each other. So to get to a country and listen to a Spanish that I don't hear on a single basis, like to listen to them so different with a different accent, I felt like in another world, even though that I was speaking the same language. So yeah, I definitely did that. I stepped out of my comfort zone and I did that for a fact.
Amazing.
Right. So I also have another question, and I'm going to start with you, Lucas. Also, we spoke about which countries we had in mind and what we wanted this experience to look like. I always remember that my starting point was not so much location, but it was what did my class look like? Who did I want to teach? And I started right here in South Africa, with a very diverse class because South Africa is fortunately seen as an English learning destination. So tons of work right here on our home ground. But then, of course, yes, at the heart of TEFL lies travel, right? Everybody wants to just get out and go and teach and spread the knowledge. But my question for you, Lucas, is more about job hunting. What was your approach to job hunting when you started out?
Thank you, Juan. That's a good question. There are various and numerous aspects to take into consideration. You can take into consideration location, growth opportunities, salary, and stuff. However, my approach was first, I wanted to get growth opportunity. And second, I knew for a fact that young learners, especially kids, like 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, and 7-year-olds, like very young learners, they were my target audience. I know that I look very young, but I want to be a father already. So I wanted that experience in a sense to, yeah, just to like nurture them in a sense, nurture that love for reading. And currently nowadays I'm teaching at a school and I'm teaching phonics to little kids. So the very basics of the rating process. So yeah, I knew for a fact young learners, my target audience, and I wanted growth opportunity at the same time. I didn't mind so much about the location and salary and stuff. But yeah, those were my key factors in my personal experience.
Right, thank you. I'm just picturing that, Lucas, you teaching all these little ones phonics. That is a great scene to picture in my head right now. Tomoko, what about
Mhm.
you? So, yes, you're a recruiter now, but what was
Mhm.
your approach to job hunting when you started out?
There's so many jobs out there. So I think filtering it out to the company, your location, the reputation, the reviews as well, like testimonials is really important. Have like a
Yeah.
funnel then narrow it down from there. And I think apply to many different jobs, do many interviews. You might not get the first job you applied for, so keep persevering and don't give up. I remember I had 5 interviews, 15 years ago on Skype, and I didn't get them, and I was so disheartened, and I wanted to give up, and I was crying, and I thought this isn't for me. But that next job I applied for, I got. So it's a stepping stone. So don't give up. Be positive, and do your research definitely as well. Reviews.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, it can be very, very daunting, can't it? Like setting out in the industry, trying to find your first job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you don't really know what you want, because you don't really know what's out there. So it can be tricky. And as you said, Tomoko, research
Yes.
is everything.
Absolutely.
And Tomoko, we are so glad to have you here to give us the views of a professional recruiter and an all-round lovely person.
Oh, thank you.
So putting your recruiter hat on, what tips would you give prospective teachers when it comes to preparing CVs and applying for jobs?
Be honest. Keep it very brief. Your CV as well, 2 pages. All current jobs at the top of your CV in chronological order, so it's in date. Any experience you have working with children, whether it's voluntary or unpaid, put that on your CV, but put it as like voluntary experience. And also, if you don't have any experience at all as a fresh graduate from university, that's no problem. We accept fresh graduates as well, people with experience. It doesn't matter to us. The personality is the most important thing and the potential. So being really positive, enthusiastic, adaptable, these are things I look for in the interview. So experience or no experience, please apply, to us. Yes.
Yeah, it's all about those transferable skills, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
I know a lot of trainees that I train to be TEFL teachers, they come from perhaps a hospitality background. And that is actually one of the best ones you can have, right? Because of all of those transferable skills. It's customer service.
It is.
And what is teaching, but very specific.
I agree.
Customer service. So Tomoko, are there any other transferable skills that people without teaching experience should highlight?
Babysitting, lots of nurses as well are really good. People that work in hospitals, like nurses, because they work, all hours, long shift, dealing with different, people as well. They're really adaptable in situations. But I feel like even if you have no relative experience, that as long as you have the enthusiasm and the passion and the eagerness, I've hired all different parts of people from all industries as well. So it's not specific to one industry, I would say.
Oh, amazing. All right, thank you.
Right. So, Mairead, we actually did 2 whole podcast episodes on interviews, the job interview, and the challenges that come with these on our TEFL Unlocked podcast, right? So, viewers, definitely keep an eye out for those. But, Lucas, this question is first for you. Do you have any advice for new teachers who may feel a bit daunted by the job interview?
That's a thought-provoking question for me because I did have many interviews, but in my case, I was just always myself. So that's my number one advice. It may be daunting, and I remember my first interview, I was just a bundle of nerves, but in a sense, I was just myself. I was just transmitting that passion that I had for teaching. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like the recruiter really got that in a sense. I feel like, well, Tomoko, you're a recruiter. You can definitely sense that when someone is there for the job and has the willingness and the eagerness and stuff. So I would just say, always be yourself. I remember an interview that I had in Ecuador, and the recruiter said, "Well, I like that because I feel like I know you since, for many years." And I said, "Well, that's because I didn't want to put on a facade in a sense. I didn't want to do anything like over exaggerated. I just wanted to communicate my love for teaching and my interest. So my number one thing would be yourself. Number 2, show your interest. And number 3, do your research absolutely about the company. That's a key factor for them to let them know that you know what you're getting yourself into and that you appreciate the culture and the values of the organization. That would be my 3 tips.
Yeah. Oh,
Mm.
thanks, Lucas. Thanks for that. And Tomoko, from a
Mhm.
recruiter's perspective, any advice for during the interview process? Because as you heard, Lucas was a bundle of nerves. I was a bundle of nerves. Mairead, I'm not sure. I think you too, right? So for all
Mhm.
the bundles
Mhm.
of nerves out there, from a recruiter's perspective, any advice?
What Lucas said as well, be yourself, be authentic, smile through it all. If you're nervous, just smile. I do so many interviews, weekly, and it's okay to be nervous. Just be yourself, be authentic, and you just keep persevering. I think it's really important. So as Lucas, I totally agree with you, Lucas. What you said exactly was perfect answer, because I totally agree with you as well. Just be yourself and be honest. I think the interview, the key things. Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm. And yeah, remember to breathe, I think.
Mhm.
I always find that helps. Yeah, the old breathing keeps the nerves steady. And Tomoko,
Mhm.
how did you make the transition from teaching in a classroom to recruitment? Because I'm really
Yes.
interested in hearing about that transition.
Yes. So I was in Japan for 2 years and then Vietnam for a year. And then China was 2.5 years after that. And I was a senior teacher. So I went up a little bit, then teacher trainer. So sort of, hiring and training the new recruits that came in, then a recruitment manager for all of the cities in China for the company I worked for. So I love recruitment. I love meeting new teachers, interviewing, get to know them, the whole process. I think it's like really beautiful when it comes full circle. And that's sort of how it began for me. So TTR was founded in 2015, so 10 years ago. So I love what I do. I really love what I do.
Oh my goodness, amazing. Yeah, it must be very, very satisfying, right?
When they're in country and you see them doing well, getting updates and photos and videos of how happy they are in Japan, it's so rewarding. Absolutely. I love what I do. I really do.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, that's a wonderful thing. That's all any of us want to be able to say, right? At the
Yes.
end of the day.
Yeah.
All right, thank you
Exactly.
so much.
Just to feel inspired by what you do every single day. It's such a gift. And I know that TEFL certainly has given me that. And I know that it'll give that to so many other teachers out there. Mairead, you and I do many things in addition to teaching, right? We do podcasts, webinars, writing academic material, teacher training. Tomoko, you are a recruiter in addition to teaching. So this
Mhm.
question is for Lucas. Do you focus solely on classroom teaching, Lucas, or are you involved in other areas of the TEFL field?
So even though my main focus is classroom teaching, as I mentioned before, I'm teaching little kids in a international school. So I feel like my 100% all my energy has to go there. But at the same time, I take online classes. I do online classes for little kids also. So it's also phonics, but I also do for adults all around the world. I've had students from Argentina and from Colombia and various countries of Latin America.
Yes.
And also, what I've started doing is designing my own teaching materials.
Ah,
So that's definitely something that I have enjoyed and that I have explored thanks to TEFL. So you get to think that, oh, maybe it's only teaching and stuff, but there's a world of possibilities. Designing your own materials, creating them, and sharing them with other teachers. So yeah, I'm just exploring other areas gradually and progressively. So we're getting there. We're definitely getting there.
Mhm.
thanks, Lucas. Thank you.
Yeah, materials development is just a whole field by itself, right?
Yeah.
Lucas, do you enjoy like the creative aspect of materials development, or is it more the thinking and the planning, or is it a combination of both?
I feel like it's a combination of both, but at the same time, it's so rewarding to have one idea in your mind and then put that idea into practice, especially for classes. So I'm designing like new materials and stuff. So I just find myself at 3 a.m. Doing some crafty thing for the kids and be like, oh, they're gonna love it. You know what I'm saying? So it's a way different thing than just to have the material, for example. You know what I'm saying? Or to have someone give you the material and be like, yeah, you just have to do this and stuff. I feel like that takes away my creative thinking in a sense. That takes away the pleasure of just designing it by yourself and being excited about the activity.
Ah,
So just a funny anecdote. Yesterday, I was actually doing a reading picnic with my students. So I found myself once again at 3 a.m. Just creating, the questions, the comprehension questions, the reading comprehension questions for the kids. Be like, oh, maybe they get this character, or what prediction they're gonna have on their mind about the book. So that's enjoyment. That's what I enjoy. That's what I love doing. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's trying to be creative and to put all of that together. That's what I enjoy the most about designing your materials.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Yes.
mean,
Mhm.
I know when I started teaching, I was constantly Googling, like, give me fully formed lesson plans, give me fully formed worksheets.
Shortcuts.
Yeah, shortcut. That's exactly it. But after, like, you have no emotional attachment to this material. You don't know what the thinking was behind its creation. Like, I think as you get more experience, you really want to take that control. Like, you just
Mm.
want control over your materials.
Yeah, very
Luan, are
much.
you a fan of materials development, and what's your approach to it?
I am, but my approach is research and listening to my students, seeing what they want, what they need, and then tweaking as I go along. And also, yes, at 3 a.m. doing arts and crafts, it's a normal scene for any EFL teacher, right? So yeah, just sort of staying on top of what interests my students and then creating my materials to really just satisfy all those needs in the classroom. It's a never ending process. And what I love about TEFL is that, we're teaching as teachers, but goodness me, we learn every single day. And our
Sure.
biggest teachers are our students. So, yeah, it's a never ending process of learning for me in terms of materials creation, too. I can't lie.
Aha. Yeah, Luan, I know we had an episode of TEFL Unlocked all about recycling everyday items.
Yes, like the
No
stick
cereal
figures.
box goes unexploited. um, so, yes, we would totally encourage all of our new teachers to be brave. Go make your own stuff. Then you can be sure that it is what you need. Um, so getting back then, getting away from cereal boxes and back to back to teaching matters. Tomoko, I have a
Mhm.
question for you. How do you continue to develop professionally within the TEFL recruitment industry?
Mhm.
Because as we know, continuous professional development is an absolute must in the teaching
Mhm.
industry.
Well, the first thing is the job market. Go online and see sort of who's hiring and what countries people are going to. That's popular. Also, my best advice is the teachers that I place. I learn from them all the time. Their needs, what they want, what they're nervous about. Working with them so closely, I learn each time, each person, their needs, and I grow from that because I work very closely with the teachers that I hire. So it becomes sort of more personal. And that's my best learning is from the teachers that I recruit. I would say for myself as a recruiter.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Hmm. That is so, so interesting because, even as a recruiter, you're looking for ways to develop within this industry and also
Mhm.
just to better satisfy the clients that come your
Mhm.
way, right?
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah. Mhm.
And I've also got a question. Lucas, what opportunities for professional development have you pursued since starting your TEFL career?
Wow. So I feel like many designing my own materials, as I mentioned before, and also there are many platforms where you can share your materials with other teachers and connect as a community, and also benefit from their materials and you providing them your materials and sharing ideas. So I feel like, yeah, getting into a community, that's the number one thing that I did. But also, I don't know if that is the case in other countries, but in schools here in Latin America, we have a homeroom teacher, uh,
Mm,
which is the one, like the main teacher who's in charge of students, and he teaches math and social studies and English. So it's a combination of all those things. So I have pursued that specifically. So thanks to TEFL, I got to specialize in social studies, for example, which is something that I never thought it would be possible for me, or I got to specialize in math. And I'll be honest, I didn't like math at school, but yeah, I got to specialize in all these areas and get into the world of teaching uh, very sort of like well-rounded, being like a well-rounded teacher thanks to TEFL. So that definitely opened the door for many, many things for me as a homeroom teacher. So that's the main thing that I did. I got to experience teaching life at its finest.
Nice. Thank you. Thanks for sharing.
And yeah, I know a lot of people think that in order to do CPD, or continuous professional development, you constantly need to do courses and courses and more courses. But yeah, as we have heard from Tomoko and Lucas, that's not the case. I mean, absolutely do courses if you can, but things like even keeping up to date with the jobs market, developing materials, reading TEFL journals like Modern English Teacher, even doing observations with your peers if you can, with your colleagues. Okay, observing other teachers teach and having them observe you and give feedback. All of this is a crucial part of CPD. It doesn't need to be just extra courses all the time. Even though as a courseaholic, I will be doing 50 courses at once, but there is other stuff. Tomoko, are you also partial to a course?
Yes and no. I agree with you completely, Marie, as well. It's it's not all about courses. It's about sort of learning different ways, observations, feedback, like you said as well. So a blend of both.
And Luan, what have you been up to recently with your CPD?
Well, also just reading teacher journals. I've been attending sort of workshops and also, just webinars. And you know what, Mairead, I know that this might sound a little strange, but even though I work with the TEFL Academy and I've been teaching for all these years, I still watch those weekly webinars that we do. And I learn so much. So as just to develop, just to learn, just to stay on top of what's happening in the world of TEFL. Oh, I grab all the freebies out there. And that includes those useful webinars, just kind of learning from them, learning from other teachers. Because even though you think you know everything at a certain point, there's always something new around the corner. And that's how I just try to keep up with things. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Tomoko, I have a question for you. Looking back on all of your 15 years of experience in the industry, what are your top tips for new teachers or prospective teachers just starting out?
Oh my goodness, so much advice. So it depends on where you want to go, but do your research, look at reviews, and when you apply for jobs, be yourself. The interviews, I think personality is a huge thing I'm looking for in the interviews. Is the way that you come across in the interview is really important. Enthusiasm, like I said before, adaptability, eagerness, all these things, and be open. Apply to all different jobs that you're keen for, and don't be disheartened if you don't get the job that you wanted. Keep going, keep pushing yourself. It's not going to be immediate. Keep going and persevere. Don't give up.
Oh, never, never. And Lucas, what about you? What would your top tips be?
That's actually a very good question. Number one, willingness, eagerness. That's what I had back in my time. Well, a few years ago, that's what I had. Absolutely, the eagerness to just push myself and step out of my comfort zone. And number two, as I mentioned before, just be authentic, and it shows. Teaching specifically, as I mentioned before, I feel like it's the most social profession that you can have. That's social at its finest. It's human beings connecting with other human beings to transfer knowledge, but based on connection. So if you don't have that connection, for a sense, then you can explore other areas and designing materials, or maybe you could go for another thing. But I feel like building that connection from the very first time with teaching and with what you love is going to get you to great places. I know for me it was my case, so that's what I would recommend to everyone. Absolutely.
Wonderful. And Luan, what about you? Give us some top tips, please.
I think, looking back on my years in the industry, I think my biggest tip for new teachers is just to be patient with yourself. You grow so much in your first months, more than you realize. So stay curious, keep learning from your students. always look for ways to upskill yourself. And also, something very important and near to my heart is don't be afraid to ask for help or guidance. You know, this is so important. And I've learned so much from colleagues, I've learned so much from peers. And I think that, the people you work with, it's just a wealth of information right there, right? And assistance. And I always remember in teachers' rooms, if I'm frantic, I run in and I say, oh, I've got nothing planned for my next lesson, or I need something that's really going to pick up the energy in my class. Literally, as I speak, I've got 3, 4 teachers around me giving me ideas, handing me materials, telling me, try this. This works with the class like this. And I don't know, I've just had such amazing truly from the heart, positive experiences when I go to my colleagues for help. So ask. If you don't work with colleagues and you've got people online, forums, ask questions out there, because people are always willing to help. With teachers, it's not a popularity contest. We just want to help each other. So I think that's my biggest tip. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Ask questions, seek that guidance where you need it. And also, teachers, enjoy the journey. Every class, every mistake, every small success, they all help to shape you into that teacher that you're meant to become. Mairead, I want to throw this question back at you. Any top tips looking back at your experience?
Oh, gosh. Well, as I said for the interview question, breathe first and foremost. Do not panic. Okay, take a nice deep breath. That will help a lot, believe me. I think my second tip is kind of related to something you said, Luan. Try not to be too hard on yourself, especially in the beginning or ever. Like maybe in one of your lessons, you completely mess up an activity and it doesn't work. Don't dwell, okay? Try not to dwell on it. Don't beat yourself up about it. The great news is with teaching, there will be another class coming along in 20 minutes and you can try it again. And maybe you'll do it better next time, or maybe you won't. It's a process. Just don't be hard on yourself. Okay, teaching is a marathon, not a sprint. So yeah, just take it easy on yourself, especially when you start. You're learning. Practice will make perfect. I think another thing, and you've all spoken about, the joy of being in front of students every day. Remember to see your students as people, not just as students. Find out their personalities, find out their interests, be interested in what is going on in their lives, beyond just teaching grammar, vocabulary, and skills. But yeah, I think they would be my 3 tips.
Right. That's amazing. All of you have shared such useful information. I think anyone listening, take notes, write things down, because this is absolute TEFL gold. Just to sort of finish up our little discussion here before we take a few questions from our listeners, our attendees, and we're so excited to get to those. I have something that's on my heart that I really need to ask you all about, right? We've all had, I think, that one student who's made an everlasting impression on us. Is there a student, and this is a question for all of you, Lucas, I'm going to direct this at you first, but is there a student you will never forget, and why? And of course, you don't need to name the student, just a student that has made an impact on you. We always hear about teachers making an impact on students. I'm going to flip this here. Lucas, anyone of your students that you'll never forget, and why?
Oh my goodness. You make me
Tough
think,
one.
you make me ponder. That is a tough one. That is definitely a tough one. All right, just off the top of my head, the first thing that comes to my mind is a little kid. And yeah, it was last year. His name was Martin. And yeah, he had trouble socializing with the other kids. So that was the main factor for me to grow a sensitivity to him, to be like, oh, Giles, I just want to hug you. And yeah, it made me connect with him, and it was based on the human connection. Also, he had some issues relating to social conduct. So that was definitely a challenging thing for me because, I know how to teach English. I know all the grammar and the linguistic explanation of how English is a Germanic language and stuff. But how could I be prepared for that? You know what I'm saying? So
Mm,
that what propelled me and made me specialize in little kids. So I'm taking um, advice from other teachers and stuff. I'm taking advice from my coworkers on how to handle kids with a different disruptive social conduct. So that was
yeah,
definitely something that, was way serious, but at the same time, it made me think, oh my goodness, there is so much more than just teaching English as a foreign language. There
right.
is so much more that goes into that. So yeah, that was
Mhm.
definitely a student that I will never forget, and that I will continue myself, like specializing and getting more information and absorbing more information from as many sources as I can, so that I can
Mm,
provide him and other students in the future with a better, with a better class, not as a technical level, but also on a human level, if that makes sense.
yeah, with the best, really. Tomoko, what about you? Any student that really stands out in your
I have
mind?
so many. I have so many, Luan.
I
Oh,
know it's a tough one. I
it's really
know.
difficult because I taught from 2 years old to 85-year-olds, that huge
Yeah.
range. I think there's one girl in Shanghai. She was about 12 years old. She was so shy because she's like a preteen. So she was really afraid to talk in the classroom. Did a one-to-one class with her for about 6 months, and her confidence just boosted. And her English really got better as well. And her personality came out. She was laughing, we're having fun. And then she moved to Canada, where I'm from, to Toronto as well with her family. So her English was actually used abroad. And my mom actually met her as well. My mother in Canada met the student. So it was really nice. But I have so many good experiences in my head. And like I said, TEFL, you'll never regret TEFL. Once you do it, you'll never regret the decision to do it. And so many experiences you gain personally and professionally as well is amazing. I always have that in my heart as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing that. Mairead, like our two panelists have just said, it's a tough one, I know, but I'm going to ask you, anyone that stands out?
Oh gosh, yes. I mean, I have a top 10, but I do have a number one. Oh, tears will literally start welling in my eyes when I think about him. Um, I met him when I moved home to Ireland. Um, he was in my beginners class. He was from South Korea. Um, he was a
Okay.
beginner, so had literally about 2 words to rub together. But he was just the sweetest soul and like the purest spirit. And he was just such a light in the school that I worked in. And everybody knew him in the school. He stayed with us for 2 years. And when he left, he had reached advanced level.
Oh,
And oh, the day he left the school, honestly, the staff room was just in mourning. Like,
Oh,
but again, it was just the spirit. It was, oh, he was such a
mm,
sweet soul and still is. We're still in contact, still email. And yeah, he is without doubt my number one. Oh,
yeah. These stories are
oh,
amazing.
amazing. And Luan, go on, tell us.
Yeah, just like all of you, very difficult to choose because Tomoko, like you, I've also taught young learners right through to, retired people traveling and studying. But I think someone that really sticks out was a young guy, and he was, very motivated. He needed to learn English in order to study at an English speaking university. He was just 19 years old, came to South Africa from Saudi Arabia to learn English. And my goodness, he attended every class. And when he arrived, he could speak almost no English, like nothing. Um, and then, he went through the motions. His friends showed me pictures of his wall next to his bed, just covered in post-its with English notes and little translations and vocabulary. And this, just hits you in the feels as a teacher. I can't lie. And then to go from that to a few months later where he thanked me and all his teachers in fluent, mistakes here and there, but fluent English. It was just something I will never, ever forget. And I think all of you sitting here, you've had an experience like that at some point. And well, you've just proved that you've had an experience like that. And yeah, that's the gift that keeps on giving, being an EFL teacher, right?
Mhm.
It's amazing. You know what? Something interesting has come to light. So we've had all these questions, we've had these conversations, and they've been amazing, right? But something I've noticed is that there are like a billion questions that have come in on the side of the screen. And we've been asked, please, would you answer some of these questions? So please bear in mind that at the end of every session that we've got planned for you today, yes, of course, there will also be a Q&A where you can ask questions very much related to the session that you're about to join. But I do believe that we are going to answer just a few of these questions right here, right now. So if we can have a question displayed on screen, that would be amazing so that all our viewers can see that too. There was one that came in a little bit earlier.
Oh,
Tomoko, I mean,
oh,
never mind. We've got one directly for you. How can we get in touch with Tomoko, who has her own TEFL recruitment agency? Tomoko, would you like to take this one?
yes. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name. It's Miss Montgomery. So if you go on my website at tamakitefl.co.uk, you can fill out a contact us form or email me. Or after, if you'd like to give me your email as well, I can contact you directly. But tamakitefl.co.uk would be the best way. Tamaki. That's my last name.
Thanks, Mariki. All right, so we've got another question. Please share how to overcome the fear of making the first step, the fear of presenting yourself in front of other people or students. I do believe that we can answer that question, right? Mairead, would you like to get us started here?
Oh gosh, yes. Thank you, Alina, for your question. Alina, this isn't going to sound super helpful initially because I am going to say you just need to do it. You need to take a deep breath, prepare as best you can, then take a deep breath, and just go do it. In my situation, or in my experience, I never felt ready at any stage. I think like driving, right? You never really truly feel ready to hit the road by yourself, driving your own car. And the same with teaching. You never feel ready to give that first class because you want it so badly, to be perfect. You want to think of everything. But when it comes down to it, Alina, you've just got to take that deep breath and go do it. Okay. I find that once you see your students looking at you, something switches in your brain and you're automatically thinking, okay, how do I make my students feel better and feel comfortable? So you stop thinking about yourself and you start thinking about them. And that's, that takes you out of your nerves somewhat and allows you to do your lesson. So yeah, just do it. Oh, that would be a great marketing slogan, right? Somebody should use that. Do you have any tips, Lucas or Tomoko, for overcoming those initial first class nerves?
Well,
Go ahead.
sorry. I think that it all comes down to the first class and icebreakers. I feel like icebreakers are key
Yes.
to basically like build that connection first with them and then want to like move on to a different thing. But first, I would do a great icebreaker. I would get to know them personally. I would ask them their interest, and based on their interest, then plan the classes. But if you don't have that, I would never like plan a class if I didn't know my students first, know their names, their stories, and their personal interests. So yeah, that's one tip, icebreakers, in my opinion.
Lucas, I agree with you 100%. And, I find it very difficult to walk into a class and just be in presentation mode. So, a practical tip that I can give to our previous, to Alina, who posted the previous question, is, if you've got that nervous energy, you're walking in, you've maybe got the shakes, bundle of nerves, like Lucas said earlier, a tip: pull up a chair and sit down with your students. Just sit down. Sit down just before the lesson, ask them a couple of questions about themselves, tell them a little bit about you. And as soon as you've established that human connection, the rest of it becomes a little bit easier, and you're able to breathe and just get through the rest of the lesson and all the lessons to follow. So that for me is just a huge tip. Sit down with them, pull up a chair, look human, be human, and talk to them as humans, and immediately those nerves just start to settle. We've got another question, and it is from Jill in Australia. I'm an older lady and I want to teach online. I'm worried that no student will choose me as they think I am too old. You know what? Throwing this right at our recruiter, Tomoko, would you like to answer Jill's question?
Yeah, Jill, I wouldn't worry whatsoever. Age is not, an issue or anything like that at all. As long as you're making lessons fun and engaging, the students are happy. Being an older lady is no problem. So I really encourage you to apply for that job online and to go for it. I'm sure you'll be wonderful. So don't worry, go for it. You can do it.
Yeah. I recently did a radio interview for the TEFL Academy on retirees doing their TEFL. And I think it's such a wonderful opportunity. Retirees, more mature students, older students, they've got so much to give, so much knowledge. And you know what? So many students are excited to learn from people who have had that world experience. So please, Jill, go for it. Please, please go for it. We've got another question from Tazkia. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Are there any tips for adapting when teaching in a country with customs or cultures that differ from ours? Mairead, I feel that you feel this question is coming your way. Do you have any advice for Tazkia?
I think, Taskia, do your best to inform yourself in advance, like what are the customs and traditions of that country,
Yeah.
and just be respectful. Like I know you all would be. I'm sure we all make mistakes, like inadvertently sometimes, but just try to do your research in advance. Do your best to know like what is acceptable, what is not, or what is viewed as polite, what is viewed as rude. Do your best to be respectful. And if you do inadvertently put your foot in it, give yourself grace. You will know for again. Okay? Nobody knows everything, but preparation is key. Thank you so much for the wonderful questions. Luan, you said there were 1 billion questions. I think that's a conservative estimate, frankly.
And there are more coming in.
Everybody, please bear in mind that our final session of the day will consist of Luan and I answering questions. It will be 30 minutes pure Q&A. So while we haven't had time to go through a lot of questions now, come back for the final session at 6:30 GMT and we will be able to answer a lot more questions.
Yeah.
Luan, would you like to wrap up?
Absolutely. Well, no, I don't want to wrap up, but I have to wrap up for now, right? So, yes, that brings us to the end of this panel session. So, a huge thank you to our fantastic panelists, Lucas and Tomoko, for sharing your experiences and your insights with us today. And to everyone watching, remember, this is only the beginning of a jam-packed day. The day is just going to be loaded with more insightful talks, industry experiences, and practical ideas to explore. So enjoy the brilliant sessions lined up for International TEFL Day 2025 and make the most of everything that today has to offer. We will see you a little bit later on. Bye for now.